Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, today I wanted to share with you my thoughts in this episode 11 of Backlog Treasures. This is a series where I've made a commitment this year to go through my backlog of titles that I haven't yet seen, the titles in my physical media collection that have been collecting dust for some time, in some cases several years. They've been on my shelf. I haven't watched them yet, and I've made a concerted effort to say, you know what? I've got to watch these titles. This is a title that hasn't been on my shelf that long, but it is a title that's been on my shelf for a number of months, and I'm glad to finally have seen this title here. It's Written on the Wind. I believe this came out actually this year, so it's a 2022 release, but I've had it for a few months now, and I'm glad to finally have watched this title. This is the 1956 film from German-born director Douglas Sirk, and it stars an all-star cast. Great cast in this movie that I really enjoyed. You've got Rock Hudson here. He played Mitch Wayne in this movie. Lauren Bacall played Lucy in this movie. You have Robert Stack in this film, who is just phenomenal in his role. And then you've got Dorothy Malone, who played the sister Marylee in this film. And she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in this movie. This is a 1956 Southern melodrama from Douglas Sirk, and it's just a fascinating story. It's a story of personal destruction and just how jealousy and alcoholism and those negative things can drive a wedge between what should be a great friendship. And that friendship was between Mitch Wayne and Kyle here, played by Robert Stack. They were best friends. Kyle, of course, is the son of this Texas oil man, wealthy, rich family. They have a very successful business. And this is Mitch Wayne, who works for the company. And Mitch and Kyle are best friends growing up. They work together, but Kyle has forever been jealous of Mitch because he's felt inferior to his best friend. He felt like he never quite measured up to Mitch. He felt like even in his father's eyes, his father thought that Mitch was the better man than he was, and that really created jealousy within Kyle. So even when Kyle fell in love with Lauren Bacall and he won her over and they got married, jealousy between him and Mitch, combined with alcoholism and depression and other elements such as they introduce impotence in here, nymphomania. These different elements just create this tension between these two great friends and ultimately leads them down a very destructive path. So this is such an interesting, fascinating Southern melodrama that I really, really enjoyed. But let me take a moment to read the back of the Criterion case here. It says, "Written on the Wind, the Technicolor expressionism of Douglas Sirk reached a fever pitch with this operatic tragedy, which finds the director pushing his florid visuals and his critiques of American culture to their subversive extremes. Alcoholism, nymphomania, impotence, and deadly jealousy. These are just some of the toxins coursing through a massively wealthy, degenerate Texas oil family. When a sensible secretary, Lauren Bacall, has the misfortune of marrying the clan's neurotic scion, played by Robert Stack here, it drives a wedge between him and his lifelong best friend, Rock Hudson, that unleashes a maelstrom of psychosexual angst and fury, featuring an unforgettable, debauched, Oscar-winning supporting performance by Dorothy Malone. Dorothy Malone here. What a performance. She is absolutely fantastic as Marylee. Marylee is Kyle's sister in this film, part of the wealthy Texas oil family. Malone and some of Sirk's most eye-popping mise-en-scene. Written on the Wind is as perverse a family portrait as has ever been splashed across the screen. It absolutely is. I've really enjoyed this melodrama. And this is one of a number of melodramas that Douglas Sirk did in the 1950s in Hollywood. So he also did Imitation of Life. He did Magnificent Obsession, All That Heaven Allows. I have a copy of All That Heaven Allows on Blu-ray in my collection that I have not seen yet. That's another title in my backlog I need to see. I have not yet picked up Magnificent Obsession, but that's going to be on my list to pick up very soon. And of course, I've seen Imitation of Life when I was a child, and it's just, what a tragic film that is. But let me know in the comment section if you've seen any of those other films from Douglas Sirk, and if you have, or if you've seen this film as well, What do you think of these films? What do you think of these melodramas? And what are your favorite melodramas from this director, Douglas Sirk? But what a film this is. I really enjoyed watching this film. This is the inside of the Criterion case here. Of course, you get this really nice poster, but look at the disc art there. Very, very nice. Hope the camera's picking that up pretty well. If you look at the insert, it is a nice poster. It's basically the same art that's on the cover of the case, that's on the case. So the same poster here, very nice. And of course you have your inside here, which is really great. But the characters are Mitch Wayne, played by Rock Hudson, Lucy Moore Hadley, played by Lauren Bacall. I forgot the last name, Hadley. Kyle Hadley was played by Robert Stack. So it's the Hadley family, is this rich Texas oil family that Robert Stack is the son of. He's Kyle Hadley. He's jealous of Mitch Wayne, who's Rock Hudson in this film. And Marylee Hadley is Dorothy Malone. Dorothy Malone did a wonderful job as Marylee. She basically has been in love with Rock Hudson's Mitch Wayne her whole life since they were kids. She wants him to be her husband. She wants to marry him, but you know, he constantly pushes away her advances. He sees her as a sister, not as a girlfriend or a future wife. He just can't see her in that light. And that's something that breaks her heart. And that's a big part of the drama of this movie, in addition to the downward slide of Robert Stack's character as Kyle Hadley in this movie. It's just a fascinating film of the degradation of a friendship, of a marriage, of these different relationships, these tragic souls caught in these different dynamics in their relationship, and how things just aren't working together the way they should be. But it really just centers around the destructive path that someone can go down when they allow jealousy and alcoholism to sort of cloud their judgment. They can't see the good that's in front of them because they're clouded by their own jealousy, by their own misperception of things, by alcoholism and letting that get out of control. And that's what happened in the case of Kyle Hadley, played by Robert Stack in this movie. So really interesting film that I definitely recommend. There's a nice essay in here called No Good End, and that's from Blair McClendon. So Blair talks about melodramas from Douglas Sirk in the 1950s in Hollywood, and talks about this great film. I think the supplements on the disc are also quite good. There's not a lot of them. This is not, you know, an edition that has a lot of supplements, but there are a couple of essays on here, or interviews, that I'll draw your attention to. One interview here is there's called Acting for Douglas Sirk, a 2008 documentary that's really good. And this documentary has interviews with Douglas Sirk. It has interviews with Robert Stack. Rock Hudson's in it, Lauren Bacall. You have all the major leads in it, as well as Dorothy Malone. So all four of them contribute in that documentary. And it's really interesting hearing them talk about this movie. It's really, really interesting. And then there's another interview on here from film scholar Patricia White about this film and about melodramas in general. So one of the things I didn't know about was, of course, after watching this film, I really enjoyed it, really enjoyed Rock Hudson, Robert Stack, and Dorothy Malone. But what I didn't know is that they had done another movie together where they play similar characters. I forgot the name of the film, but Patricia White talks about that other film that they made together, and how Douglas Sirk liked to use these different character types or archetypes and portray them in different films. And basically it was about how to act for Douglas Sirk. So I really, really enjoyed that. And then you have a trailer in here. The trailer is interesting because it's a classic example of how oftentimes it's not a good idea to watch these trailers, especially for some of these older films, because the trailers basically give away the whole freaking movie. So I advise you to not watch the trailer until after you've seen the film, then watch the trailer. But it's a classic example of the trailer giving away the film. So I think that's really interesting. Of course, I showed you the insert here and the essay, really, really good in here. So definitely check that out. Of course, you see the disc art here, there. And so, yeah, overall, this is a really nice package from the Criterion Collection. I really enjoyed this film. and can definitely recommend it, as well as it's definitely inspired me to check out some more of Douglas Sirk's melodramas, including All That Heaven Allows, which I already have in my collection. So that's another entry potentially in this Backlog Treasures series. Hello, quick note, I forgot to talk about the audio and the video quality of this Blu-ray of Written on the Wind. In short, the video looks fantastic. I mean, this is one of those, melodramas. The colors are sort of exaggerated in this picture, and the colors are just popping off the screen on this Blu-ray. I mean, the detail, the restoration work on this, I think it's a 2K digital restoration, and it looks really, really nice on this Blu-ray. I mean, the picture is clean throughout. A lot of nice detail in this image. This is a film from 1956, but it's been beautifully restored, and those colors really pop off the screen, whether it's the reds or the cars, the yellows, or the different colors that are exaggerated in certain scenes of the film that sort of drive certain emotions and evoke certain feelings throughout the film. It's just beautifully realized on this Blu-ray disc, and the sound also comes across really, really nicely on this Blu-ray disc. So I did want to make a quick mention about that as I now proceed to enjoy this ice cream cone. But yes, video and audio looks great. Definitely highly recommended from an AV standpoint. So let me know in the comment section below if you've seen Written on the Wind. If so, what do you think about this title? And also, what do you think about other films from Douglas Sirk and other melodramas in this genre of filmmaking? Let me know what you think about these films in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.